Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1342 of our daily content grind. So, quick channel update for everything. So, you know how in the past I told you and warned you, do not sign up to my Patreon through the Apple app because they're charging an extra fee that Patreon and me do not see? Okay, all that's done now. So if you want to pitch into the Patreon for your shoutouts, your video requests, for access to my Discord, then you can just go ahead and use it wherever. You don't have to go through any roundabout means anymore. You can just go straight through whatever app you want. All of that nonsense is over with, which is fantastic. Realize if you pitched in on the Apple app, they held that money for 75 days to like 2.5 months before I received your support. Like, crazy. All done now. All safe to sign up again. So, that little bit of news out of the way, let's get into this video, which is another recap for 2 issues of the Skybound Transformers comics, 19 and 20. And normally I wait a little while before we talk about it. Issue 20 just dropped yesterday. But oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I gotta talk this, oh my god, I gotta talk this, oh my god. This is absolute insanity. So, these 2 books are essentially the Megatron story, because he's been absent from the books for, a year and a half. That's about time to get Megatron in on this. So, I've already gone over just how incredible I think they are already treating Megatron, even in his limited usage. Already, like, he has a presence and an aura to him that just strikes as, like, the scariest Megatron has ever been. It's going to get worse in this series. It's going to get worse in these episodes. But since it's all focused heavily on Megatron, we're going to start by touching on all the other points, because a lot of this, there's a lot of storylines going on right now, but we only get little bits and pieces. Issue 19 is all backstory. Issue 20 is all Megatron getting his house together and just little touches on all the other stories. For instance, the Cybertronian side of the story, we don't really get anything from Elita's crew outside of a one-on-one between Cliffjumper and Shredhead, which not only gives us, a little more insight onto the friendship for Cliffjumper and Carly, but also gives us a little bit more personality and characterization to Shredhead. He has vague memories of Cliffjumper, but nothing like concrete, but he just knows that, he instinctively knows to trust him. But also, when he starts talking about Carly, it's also mentioned that, Carly's the one who painted the designs on the side of your van mode. Now, I don't know how Shredhead can see what's on the side of his van mode, but just in talking about Carly, in that, okay, she's small, she's fragile, but she's a friend of Cliffjumper, and she did the artwork on Shredhead's vehicle mode. That is enough for Shredhead to be completely down to go save her, which is a really big sentiment. That's actually a really strong show of the character. I don't know how much of, this is Carly's van, so there's an instinctive attachment to her. I don't know how much of that gets baked in, but there's a very strong protective instinct to Shredhead, which, when Cliffjumper is the one who wants that protection to happen, he's very eager to actually get to it. So we see that, there is still a strong connection. Remember, Shredhead is built of all these leftover spark fragments of Cliffjumper's clan. So there is a bond, even if Shredhead himself doesn't quite understand it, and it hasn't completely come through yet. So when Cliffjumper says jump, Shredhead is eager to ask how high. At least that's how it's coming across so far. Once we develop out a little bit more, we will see exactly where his characterization really lies. But so far, Shredhead's looking good. So we'll give him that. We touch on Magnus and Carly's capturing. We don't get to see Carly, but Ultra Magnus is in government hands. In any Transformer story, that's never a good thing. And in this case, they actually bring up a point that I don't think Transformers media has ever really touched. So there's topics that I try to avoid here, like, religion. I could have talked about the religions in Transformers over and over again. I try to keep it to a minimum because, obvious reasons. But in this case, it actually is a poignant thing to bring up. Both of these characters in here are depicted Christian, which only one, really. But this does shake someone to their foundation when they find out that giant living alien robots are a thing. And you never really get across the part where this Transformers existing on Earth kind of shatters a lot of those belief systems. So yeah, the fact they're touching on that, it's a sensitive topic to approach and include in a story like this. I'm glad they did, because yeah, there's ramifications to Transformers we don't normally account for, that also kind of explains the human side of this and why there would be such a negative reaction to them, even the ones that are heroic. Given that, I think it is worth bringing up this, as long as it's not a heavy feature of the stories. And I don't think it's going to be. I think it's really just to make a point here. And it does. It does that pretty effectively. Now, let's go to the proper Autobot side of things, the Optimus. There is a bit more going on there in issue 20, but we can sum it all up in this batch of panels that all are conveniently together. So, Optimus and Spike do get a one-on-one talk time. They go over a few things, which, by the way, Spike's legs working again. I actually thought they were going to leave him paralyzed for the rest of the series, but no. He's recovered now. He can actually walk around again, so good on him. But they do have a discussion about what the Matrix is, and if Optimus can hear Spike's dad, if he can hear Sparky in there. Nope, that's not how it works. So we're defining what the Matrix is in the Skybound universe. It's not like it was in the G1 cartoon, where you could literally just talk to your ancestors, like it's the Avatar cycle or something. No, it's a well of power and wisdom, but it's not something where he can inherently tap into voices. So we have to go through that, and it does establish things. And it doesn't mean it can't be that later on. He is Optimus, as we've established, not the chosen one, at least that we know of. So maybe it is exclusively a Optimus Prime thing, which obviously we're not even close to that yet. But establishment's good. Laying the groundwork is good. And they mentioned a few other things. RC is just not handling Carly's kidnapping well, as you would expect. They also mentioned the things like Optimus's arm, or the Megatron arm rather, and Optimus admitting that, I've had these flashes of hostility and anger and this craving of violence that I used to have, which is again kind of pushing this weird narrative in the backstory. We'll get back to that in a little bit here in this video, because does it become relevant? But the other good news for the Autobots is they're actually recovering now. They're actually in a point where they can start rebuilding. They rescued Skyfire, who I genuinely thought was dead. I genuinely thought he was dead. A Jetfire, I guess. Let's use the proper name. But you'll notice who's flying him in. It's Silverbolt. The aerial bots have been revived, and they aren't the rebellious team they were depicted as in the G1 cartoon. No, they're described as the softest hearted of the softest sparked of the Autobots. They're gentle, they're kind, and Optimus has regrets over bringing them back to combat these combiners that they keep having to face against with the Decepticons. But it's who they had available. It's what has to be done, And the reminder of Jetfire, who was brought back, who couldn't transform and was blind, but had to be brought back because they needed the transport. It's what had to be done. Optimus making these very tough decisions that would weaponize people important to him, But as a military commander, it's what has to happen. So it leads to Optimus having a lot of these moments of regret over what he has to do while still acknowledging it's what he has to do. So you push that characterization of him harder, and that's also good to see. Now, all that said, the meat of this is Megatron, and it starts with issue 19 being a recap. Now, we don't get an explanation for how this started. We just jump straight into the part where he is being dealt with by a Quintesson named Denzanir. And this guy is putting Megatron on trial, as any good Quintesson does. However, it is not a trial of guilt. It is a trial of action. It is more like the trials of Hercules, or like a thing to overcome rather than having a judge and a jury. No, they're trying to see if Megatron is worthy of something. So all of this is a test. And that test is a horde of Sharkticons. Over and over and over again. And this is weird how this plays out. So they keep insinuating that something is going on here, that there's some kind of influence at work via this Quintesson. Through that, we get Megatron battling constant waves of Sharkticons until he eventually gets fed up, tries to end it by attacking the Quint, only for the Quint to be able to transform into a giant dragon form and immediately murder Megatron. Only for Megatron to wake up and begin the next trial. And the next. And the next. This goes on for what the book claims is 500 trials. Megatron wakes up, is cast into an arena to battle Sharkticons, and when he gets fed up with it, exhausted of it, cleared through everybody, the dragon comes out, murders Megatron, and he wakes up again. Over and over and over again, to the point where you nearly break Megatron. It's a grueling thing. But that said, we do get two interesting points in the middle of this. Number one, Megatron does have a tank mode. So, yeah, that's, it's depicted as that is his original mode, despite seeing the gun. Oh, we'll explain the gun in a second here. Oh, but here's the other part that we need to get back to. This panel, which is fascinating to me. Since the dawn of your creation, you have been unable to save your warriors, unable to save your planet. There's a backstory here that has been touched on very lightly throughout the entirety of this comic book's run, and it is the idea that the sides might not have always been good Autobots, evil Decepticons. Prime and even other Autobots talk about the way they used to be, more violent, more aggressive, and then we get things from the Decepticon side, like Megatron was trying to save his planet. Thundercracker describing the Autobots as evil. And this is still ongoing. This is still ongoing. I'm still sitting here going like, what happened on Cybertron? Because it feels like we had this weird flip where the factions used to be on the opposite side that they are now. The Decepticons almost seem like they would have been the good guys if we follow this train of logic. Now, that's not necessarily the first time we've done something like this. IDW depicted them as revolutionaries against this evil Autobot hierarchy system. But this is different. This is different. Like, Optimus in IDW is the linchpin that shifted everything and actually brought the Autobots around to no longer be corrupt. Whereas this comes across as Optimus was part of the problem. And they just keep hinting that that's how things were, but we haven't seen the full backstory of Cybertron yet, and it's fascinating. I will say there's something on the Autobot side that may or may not start to explain it. There's a little heavy foreshadowing going on. We'll see, though. because like they've been doing a really good job of drawing out this mystery. If they are operating in like 12 issue arcs, then I'm really hoping in the next 2 issues we may drop that notification of like, yeah, Optimus used to be the evil one, Megatron used to be the hero, something weird like that. But through all these trials, there is a reward, and that is Megatron's new mode, the gun mode. So eventually, after 500 trials, the Quintesson's master, who is this big booming voice from off screen, pretend it's Unicron, we don't actually know. But the point is, the voice tells him to end the trials and let Megatron have what they have had in mind for him, which is the gun mode. Now, a few things here. The way they get reformatted into the gun mode, the Quintesson possesses a matrix. An evil opposite of the matrix that Optimus Prime wields. Specifically, it is described as essentially the opposite reaction, like the universe's balance to the existence of the matrix of leadership having a dark matrix, which is kind of logical. There is no, the Autobots get a lot of like powerful like MacGuffins as the series go on, whether that's the Matrix, the Zodiac, whatever. There's never really a flip to it the way that, the universe tends to work. Evil Matrix is always the thing that's kind of been floated around in a lot of Transformer fiction without ever having a concrete idea behind it. This might be the first time they go all in on it. But we only get to see it for a little bit, and we find out exactly what this gun mode is all about. The gun mode is designed so that Megatron can dominate whoever is wielding him. That's the intention of the gun mode. Not only is the gun mode far more powerful, they do actually push that idea of like, well, condensing himself into the gun mode actually makes his blasts and his firepower a lot stronger because it's redirecting all of his energy into being offensive. That's something that's been floated around for years as kind of like a fan theory. This book is going with it. This book is actually using it. But beyond that, think of the ramifications of this. Number one, think of how Starscream was when Megatron first started demanding that Starscream wield him. Remember, he was a reluctant Decepticon. He joined them out of anger, but he wasn't a killer. So when Megatron orders him to use his gun mode to execute Autobot prisoners, Megatron knows he's influencing Starscream to be able to do that, and then gaslighting him into believing that's how he needs to be, and doing it over and over and over again until Starscream is completely cold to the concept of murder. Megatron is exactly the reason why Starscream is the way he is today. This makes Megatron even scarier. Like visually in the books right now, he's terrifying. But the personality and what he's willing to do, this is huge. And it's incredibly frightening. This also starts to explain what's going on with Optimus Prime. If Megatron's ability is to corrupt its wielder, then that explains why the arm has been having an influence over Optimus. Why he's been going to this darker persona and having these bouts of violence. This is it. This is the start of that explanation. Now, Megatron kills the Quint in the dream. And I say dream because the next panel after he does it, he just kind of like seems like he wakes up on Cybertron, and it's implied that like through the reactions of Shockwave and Soundwave behind him that Megatron just like fell to his knees for a second and then gets back up. So all of this happened in like a nanosecond in Megatron's mind, hence how he could get killed 500 times in a row. So yeah, a lot went on. And we don't even know who the booming voice was. All we know is that he was talking to Megatron afterwards, so it all really happened. And that's just issue 19. Issue 20 focuses on him and Astro Train finally throwing down. Remember, Astro Train is depicted as a very powerful Decepticon, and he is incredibly angry at Megatron over killing the one that Astro Train loved. We don't know who that is. You can make up your own shipping details for now. We will probably find out sooner than later. But remember, Megatron is down an arm, has not seen a repair bay in a long time, and he has no eyes. He is currently wired to Laserbeak in order to see, which is the scariest visual I've ever seen for a Transformer. And Megatron has no issue whatsoever with Astro Train. That's scary again. One arm, no eyes. Astro Train, still not even close to a match. I mean, look at this. He tanked this hit. This is such a brutal shot. Not only the impact, but also just visually. I love this shot. I love the drawing. And it's not even close to damaging Megatron, even when he's this weakened. So, the Decepticon base in the series has basically become that fragment of Cybertron that's currently stuck in the ocean. And fortunately, one of Megatron's energon and equipment caches just happens to be hidden on a piece of that chunk of Cybertron that they can access, which means he has a lot more resources at his disposal that the previous Decepticons were not aware of. It's time to deal with Starscream. So, few things to note in this scene. So, for starters, Starscream is led to his fate by both, and see, you'll excuse me if I forget who was doing it, doesn't matter. One Constructicon and one Combaticon. Megatron alone, his presence alone, was enough to bring, not only get his house in order immediately and bring the two warring factions together, but also the Combaticons' loyalty to Starscream is gone. Like, they might still be loyal for rescuing him, but they will answer to Megatron first. Starscream is led to this chair with many implements, screaming for his life, and with the help of these two combiner characters, Starscream gets fully repaired, much to everyone's surprise. And then Megatron beats the ever-living servos out of him. He wanted him fully healthy just so he could beat him down from from fresh, to make him feel everything that he was about to do to him. And that's the usual relationship between Megatron and Starscream. But of course, this Megatron has other ways of keeping his minions in order, like making them use him in gun mode. Astro Train was brought to this location as well. And even though Megatron is weaker in this state, he still has Starscream be his executioner once again. Astro Train takes several shots from Megatron in gun mode and is left in a literal bubbling pile of metal and scrap. Boiling steel covering what was left of Astro Train's body. He is the most dead of dead I have ever seen in these books, in Transformer visuals might be one of the most gruesome ways I have ever seen a Transformer go out. And once again, this Megatron is horrifying. And I cannot stress that enough. And those are your issues. Oh, Megatron's got issues. Oh my god. So, those are the thoughts and observations. That's the recap of these two books. As usual, I have tried to keep the visuals from within the books at a limited. I've been using covers and promo, like preview pages for a lot of this. because I want people to go read it for themselves, experience the art, experience the story. Like, it is worth it. These books are phenomenal. I cannot wait. I can't help it. I cannot help it if I anticipate each new issue with the glee of a child on Christmas morning. But that's how it feels, because these are amazing stories, and I'm so excited to see what else they do. And I really need to read the other books in this universe, don't I? I really need to see what else is going on in this universe. Those are the new Skybound issues. They are incredible. I am very much looking forward to the next arc of the story. So, that being said, thank you everyone for watching. Go read the books yourselves. And as always, I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.